He is the son of the legendary Sword Princess and the Magic King, but lost the inheritance lottery and was given no class, so he decides to train hard and becomes the strongest in the world. The story opens with a boy named Arel who seems lost in his own thoughts while his family anxiously surrounds him, unable to stay calm. His father hasn't slept all night, and his mother is trembling with worry as today marks a special day for their son. Arel, however, remains oddly composed, almost as if he doesn't feel the pressure everyone else does. The reason for all this excitement is that Arel is about to receive his class today, something every child in their world goes through once they turn 10. His family can hardly contain themselves, joking about how their boy will become popular among girls once he gets a cool class. They keep fantasizing about how great his future might turn out, depending on what kind of blessing he gets. In this world, a person's class determines their path, as each class grants unique abilities and skills to help them grow stronger. As the moment finally arrives, the scene shifts to the grand church where the ritual of blessings is about to begin. The priest, standing tall before the group of children, starts from the right side and calls them one by one. He places his hand over the head of the first boy and senses heat and the faint smell of iron, after which he announces that this boy has been chosen as a blacksmith. The boy cheers up and rushes toward his daddy, overjoyed that he can now follow in his footsteps. Just like that, the other kids come one after another. Arel's sister explains to him that one's lineage seems to have a strong influence on what class they'll get, and since their parents are both advanced class, she's confident he'll score an excellent one. Eventually, it's finally Arel's turn, and our boy steps forward while his family cheers for him. Everyone around holds high expectations for him, considering how his mother, Farah, is known as the Sword Princess, and his father, Leon, is the Magic King. The priest repeats the process and tells the boy to close his eyes, but unexpectedly, there's no response, no matter how hard they try. The priest grows anxious but soon realizes that this could only mean one thing, which is that the boy is a certified classless. Arel's sister protests that it must be a lie, yet the boy doesn't seem to bother much. As the story shifts to the next day, Arel is seen practicing sword training despite being classless. Farah tries to comfort him, saying that she and his father will work even past retirement, so he doesn't have to worry about finding a job and can just live a nice, slow life. His father agrees with her words to make sure their son doesn't fall under pressure and do something reckless like trying to kick the bucket. Arel, however, stands firm in his resolve, refusing to live off his parents forever. Even his sister comes up, saying she's got him covered, but the boy explains to his family that he's been practicing swordsmanship ever since he was little and truly believes he can wield a sword even without a class. He then recalls how difficult his training used to be since his mother was far too strong for him to even practice properly. Arel's family once again starts fantasizing about his glorious future, but the boy gets irritated and decides to leave them like that and heads toward the practice field. There, he comes across a group of newbies who have just received the swordsman class. When Arel tells them he is there to train, the kids boast that they only came to test out their new skills since they are already swordsmen and don't need any practice. They even show off a bit in front of our boy. Arel knows that the first skill any swordsman obtains is basic swordsmanship, and from what he observes, just having that skill alone makes the wielder appear like a capable fighter. Arel then proposes a spar with them, but the request makes the kids burst into laughter as they look down on him, thinking of him as nothing more than a classless trash. When Arel argues that he believes he will be a good match, the kids decide to teach him a lesson and accept the challenge. They still make sure to confirm whether Arel has divine protection despite being classless. Divine protection in this world is a blessing granted to everyone from birth and acts like a transparent web that shields the body and absorbs damage, but it breaks once the person takes enough hits. After confirming that he won't die even if they go all out, the swordsman kid gets ready to strike, but no matter how hard he tries, he can't find an opening. Growing frustrated, he calls his friend to help him gang up on Arel. The second kid attempts to ambush him from behind, but Arel swiftly dashes backward, avoiding the attack, and just as the two start arguing and lose focus, Arel takes one down from below. The other trips over his fallen friend, and Arel easily knocks him out too. Even though they lose, the two kids argue that the match shouldn't count. They complain that Arel caught them off guard and demand a rematch. Just then, a red-haired boy appears and stops them. He mocks the two, saying that a true swordsman should always be ready for battle, then asks what they would have done if this had been a real fight. One of them tries to talk back, but the other quickly warns him to shut up after realizing that the redhead is Evans's son. The redhead walks toward our boy and asks if he's really the son of the Sword Princess. When Arel confirms it, the redhead smirks and says that must explain how he can fight so well even without a class, claiming he must have inherited his mother's talent. He calls the two defeated kids ignorant trash, then points his blade at Arel and challenges him to a duel. The two boys watching whisper that the redhead is related to the captain, and he proudly confirms it, saying Evans is his father. Arel remembers seeing this guy, Evans, before, when he used to visit his mother to beg her for help in hunting down demons. Still, he can't see any resemblance between the captain and this boy, wondering if he will also end up becoming a rugged old man like his dad. The redhead, however, clearly seems jealous that Arel's mother always takes the spotlight as the #1 swordsman, even though his father works hard. The redhead argues that kids inherit their parents' traits, and he only wants to prove his daddy's superiority by beating our boy. He then proudly mentions that he has been training as a swordsman for a year now, claiming that he never lets ego get in the way, while mocking the two newbies who believed they were too good to practice. He adds that since he's trained using intermediate skills, there's no way he's going to lose. Arel, not wanting to fall behind, grips his blade tightly, ready to start the fight. As the duel begins, the redhead moves first, but his strike gets easily blocked by Arel. The fight quickly turns fierce as the two clash again and again, their blades meeting with the sound of thunder. The newbies watching can't believe Arel is actually classless and start wondering if that was just a lie. Meanwhile, as Arel keeps up with the redhead, he notices that anger is throwing his opponent's rhythm off, so he decides to use that weakness to his advantage. But just when he spots an opening, the redhead unleashes a sword skill called Twin Blade Slice. Arel manages to block the first strike, but the second one slips through and lands clean. Arel asks what that move was, and the redhead explains that it's an attack skill that releases 2 strikes in a single swing. Days pass after Arel's defeat, and our guy is sleeping on his bed until his sister barges in and forcefully wakes him up. He pretends to fall asleep again, but when she tries smushing him, he bumps her head by accident, making her fall as he gets up. The little girl clings to Arel as the two walk out of the room for breakfast. After he finishes eating, his sister asks if he's heading out again for his special training and tells him he doesn't have to push himself that hard, promising that she'll create a world where he can live peacefully. Arel smiles and heads out to continue his training. When his sister starts to worry, their mother takes her to see several worn-out blades that Arel has been using for practice all this time. Farah feels proud, and even Arel's sister looks relieved that being classless hasn't slowed her brother down one bit. Meanwhile, Arel reaches the forest where he trains, slashing his sword against a tree with sharp focus and speed until he successfully imitates the twin blade attack. Turns out, he had been taking hits on purpose during the fight with the redhead just to study that move. Just then, a goblin tries to sneak up on him, but Arel reacts instantly, using the twin blade attack to take it down. Before he can even celebrate, a loud roar echoes through the forest, hinting that a massive monster is nearby. Realizing no such creature should be this close to town, he thinks about warning the guards, but the scream of a child cuts through the air, and he knows there's no time to call for help, deciding to rush in alone. When Arel reaches the scene, he finds the redhead badly injured while struggling against a hobgoblin. He instantly understands that one wrong move could be fatal, so he focuses on his footing and timing, waiting for the right moment. Just as the hobgoblin raises its weapon to strike the redhead, Arel steps in and unleashes the twin attack, and a single swing from it is enough to take the monster down. The redhead almost collapses, but Arel catches him in time and offers his own holy water since the redhead's bottle was shattered. As soon as he drinks it, his wounds heal almost instantly, and the first thing he does is demand to know what move Arel just pulled off. Arel calmly tells him it was the twin blade strike, but the redhead looks shocked, claiming that it should be way too complicated to pull off. Arel agrees, saying that it really was, which is why he had to put in a ridiculous amount of effort to learn it. Seeing his confusion, Aurel explains that anyone could perform it with enough strength, speed, and perfect timing. He also admits that the redhead was the reason he managed to learn it in the first place, since facing it repeatedly gave him the experience he needed to figure it out. The redhead looks stunned but can't deny it after seeing the move with his own eyes. When Aurel adds that he just hated losing and wanted to make sure he could win next time, the redhead grins and suggests a rematch right there and then. Aurel asks if he's really up for it, but the redhead insists, saying that after saving his life and sharing his holy water, the least he can do is return the favor. Aurel smiles and compliments his sense of duty. The battle kicks off with both of them using the twin blade attack at once, their strikes colliding and canceling each other out. The redhead is stunned, but before he can even react, a third slash cuts through and lands cleanly on him. Shocked, he demands to know what that move was, and Aurel casually replies that it was the third slash. The redhead argues that the name literally says twin attack, so a third hit shouldn't even exist. Aurel calmly explains that this doesn't apply to him since his version isn't bound by a skill, meaning it has no restrictions, and he can modify it however he wants. He adds that this was actually the first time he managed to pull off the third slash successfully. The redhead, unwilling to accept it, scoffs that Aurel's twin-bladed slice is just a classless imitation and can't possibly be stronger than a real swordsman's technique. Aurel simply offers to test that claim again, and even though the redhead goes all out, he still gets caught off guard by the third strike once more. With his sword pointed at him, Aurel calmly states that the outcome remains the same, except this time, the redhead is the one lying on the ground. Curious, the redhead asks why Aurel's blade felt even faster this time and wonders if he had gone easy on him before. Aurel explains that it was thanks to him. Seeing his refined movements again helped him adjust his own swing and make it sharper. As Aurel walks away, the redhead clenches his teeth in frustration over another loss. A few days later, during dinner, Farah casually mentions that Evan's kid is heading to Bestia. When Aurel asks what that place is, his mother explains that Bestia is known as the City of Swords, the same place where she used to work long ago, spending her days training endlessly with her blade. Hearing this, Aurel seems intrigued, quietly wondering how strong he can become on his own without ever receiving a class. As the story moves forward, several years have passed, and our boy is now on his way to the City of Swords, traveling in a carriage. Inside the carriage are two advanced class swordsmen who start arguing with each other over dress codes, but their argument ends the moment the carriage gets surrounded by an orc horde led by an orc king. Instead of protecting the kids on board, the two so-called experts panic and run for their lives. The carriage rider gets alarmed by this and tries to stop Aurel, but our boy rushes straight toward the monsters without hesitation. He uses a skill called Blink Dash to cut through several of them with blinding speed. The rider watches with interest, thinking that this skill would soon lose its effectiveness once Aurel gets surrounded. However, when that happens, Aurel performs a counter-move skill known as Blade Dance, a technique that only the elite sword princesses are said to use. The rider is baffled because that ability should be exclusive to women. Aurel swiftly takes down the Orc King and tells the rider to keep heading toward Brescia, explaining that he plans to train there to become even stronger. The rider chuckles, saying that the boy already seems powerful enough, but when the other kids on the carriage ask Aurel about his class, he calmly answers that he has none, something they find impossible to believe. The story then shifts back to 5 years earlier, when Farah saw her son using 3 consecutive slashes and questioned if she was dreaming. She becomes overwhelmed with guilt, feeling that she might be too obsessed with her son's lack of class, and begins to cry, thinking about how terrible a mother she must be. Aurel comforts his mother, telling her that he practiced tirelessly to recreate the move, and then asks her to demonstrate her sword princess techniques so he can try learning them before heading to Brescia. His mother immediately brightens up and calls out to her daughter, proudly declaring that their Aurel is a prodigy. As the story shifts back to the present, Aurel wakes up from his sleep and realizes they have already reached Brescia. The rider points out that the city is filled with advanced swordsmen, to which Aurel casually replies that it's just like him. The rider laughs and says he's only a driver, but Aurel remarks that no ordinary driver could identify sword techniques as accurately as he did earlier. It turns out that the man is actually an advanced holy knight who drives carriages just to escape his exhausting life of duty. Before leaving, the knight advises Aurel to find a guild first, but warns him to stay alert since not every guild out there can be trusted. After parting ways, Aurel strolls through the bustling city, noticing that almost every corner has some guild recruiter trying to trick new adventurers into joining their ranks. A blonde-haired girl spots him observing a guild and immediately assumes he must be strong. She sprints toward him but misses and falls face first onto the ground. Trying not to look embarrassed, she quickly recovers and offers Aurel a chance to join her guild, showing him a contract. Aurel politely declines, and when she asks why, he replies that anyone this desperate to beg someone to join their guild must clearly be from a minor one that's struggling to fill its ranks. The girl gets flustered by his remark and, in a desperate attempt to convince him, even offers to throw in a date with her as a special bonus, though Aurel instantly turns her down. Her persistence reminds him of his little sister, who never stops pestering him back home. Trying to move on, he asks the girl about the strongest guilds in the city. Although she finds his question a bit rude, she eventually gives in and tells him everything he needs to know. When she mentions that the Black Blade Guild has 8 S rankers, Aurel's eyes light up, and he immediately rushes there. Upon arriving, a soldier class member directs him toward the reception, telling him to apply through the official test. Aurel joins the long queue and patiently waits for his turn. When he finally reaches the counter, the receptionist informs him that they only accept adventurers who are at least an advanced class or higher. Aurel tells him that he's classless, which makes the man burst into laughter before asking him to leave. Aurel insists that he can still pass their test, but the receptionist refuses to even consider it, and he walks away rejected. After that, he goes from one guild to another across the city, but nobody is willing to take him in. Exhausted, he finally sits on the stairs to rest and pulls out the recommendation letter his mother gave him, the one she told him to hand over to her old guild. He initially thought it wasn't needed, but now it feels like his mother had already predicted things would turn out this way. Aurel heads out to find the guild when the same blonde girl from before appears again, insisting that he should join hers. She keeps following him the whole way until she finally admits that their guild doesn't have enough members and is on the verge of being disbanded. She even begs him to treat it as a charity case, but Aurel vanishes before she can finish. Still, she keeps following him, and when he reaches the place mentioned in the letter, she proudly says they have arrived near her guild. Aurel is surprised to see how big the building is, and the girl immediately boasts that she already told him they were a famous guild. He then questions her about why they are short on members, realizing that they must have fallen from their former glory. When she says the name Dragon Fong, Aurel remembers that his mother was once part of the same guild, which was named after its leader's special skill. Curious, he decides to follow the blonde inside, where they are greeted by a drunk man. The girl scolds her father for drinking again, and Aurel notices that the man, who seems to be the dual sword king, has lost one of his arms. The man tells Aurel to leave, saying the guild is finished. The blonde then explains that her father used to be one of the top 2 swordsmen in Brescia, but everything changed after he lost his arm. She gets quiet, thinking Aurel might leave after seeing this, but he stays and calmly tells her that even if he wanted to, he couldn't join any other guild. After signing the contract, the girl checks the form and sees that Aurel has written classless as his class. Thinking it's a joke, she tells him to stop messing around, but when Aurel shows his official certification proving that he is certified classless, her expression changes completely. She grabs a blade and orders him to tear the contract apart, shouting for him to get out. Just then, a red-haired woman walks in and calls her by name, Lilia. Lilia immediately runs to her, crying that the newcomer is a classless idiot. When the redhead, Reiner, looks at Aurel, she recognizes him right away, though Aurel has no idea who she is. It soon becomes clear that Reiner is actually the red-haired child of Evans, the same one Aurel had mistaken for a boy before. Lilia, still irritated, asks if this is the same guy Reiner once failed to beat in a duel, which makes Reiner grit her teeth and declare that this time will be different. She challenges Aurel to a fight in the underground practice hall, and despite Lilia warning her to go easy on the classless kid, the match begins. This time, Reiner's twin strike tears straight through Arel's triple slash. She's clearly stronger now and proudly explains that it's thanks to a new bladesman skill called brute strength. Arel acknowledges her growth but calmly asks if it's wise to reveal her trump card so easily. Reiner shrugs it off, saying she doesn't care, but Arel smirks and adds that if this is her top speed, then handling her won't be much of a challenge. She pushes his sword upward and lands a clean hit, but to her surprise, Arel appears right behind her and strikes. It turns out that the one she hit earlier was only an afterimage, created through a shadow skill. Reiner argues that the shadow skill is supposed to be a supreme class move and demands to know how he managed to pull it off. Arel calmly replies that it took him a lot of training and that he simply learned to move at extreme speed. This time, he creates 2 afterimages, but when he attacks, Reiner doesn't lose her divine protection. She smirks and explains that she now also has the guts skill, which lets her withstand heavy hits. Confident, she charges at him again, but Arel counters with Obtain Counter, a technique used only by sword princesses. The move lands perfectly, knocking Reiner out cold. As she runs off in tears, she yells that she's not crying, even though she clearly is. Later, Arel sits with Lilia, who greets him cheerfully, her attitude doing a full 180. She happily welcomes him to the guild, and Arel, still curious, asks what she meant earlier about their guild being doomed. Lilia admits that they're drowning in debt but still tries to sound hopeful, saying that there's a guild battle next week, and if they win, their debt will be cleared. It also turns out that the reason she was practically begging him to join was that they needed at least 3 members to qualify for the match. When Arel compliments Reiner for sticking with the guild despite the circumstances, Lilia explains that Reiner wasn't accepted anywhere else because of her age. When she'd lost all hope, her father took her in, and she's stayed loyal ever since. Lilia adds that the upcoming battle will be a 5-person team match, and Arel, fired up as ever, signs himself up to fight without hesitation. The next morning, Arel wakes up refreshed and heads out to meet with Lilia, who wishes him a bright good morning, but Reiner stays silent since she still cannot get over losing to him. Then, Lilia excitedly shares the good news that Dragon Fawn finally fulfills the 3-member requirement to take part in the tournament's team battles, meaning they can officially sign up for battles in the coming weekend. Arel asks if it is the same competition known for giving out big money prizes, and Lilia explains that guild members fight one-on-one until one side is completely eliminated. Normally, there are 5 members in a team, but they will have to make do as a trio. Reiner mutters that things will be tough, but Lilia stays confident in their team since they have 2 B ranks. Seeing Arel look confused by what B rank means, she explains there are 4 ranks in total, and only 20 of the 500 swordsmen in Brescia are A rank, so they should be fine as long as they do not face one. Just then, she remembers that the tournament brackets are posted at the guild and rushes out to check who they will be up against. After that, Reiner gets up to leave, so Arel asks where she is going. She says she is obviously going to train, and when he casually tries to talk to her, she snaps at him to stop acting so chummy like they're buddies. Arel ignores her attitude and instead asks what kind of skills her class has other than brute strength. She answers that guts makes her divine protection last longer, and the useful skill leaves him feeling a little jealous. Suddenly, Arel gets what he proudly calls a genius idea and grabs Reiner's hands, casually asking her to beat him up with her sword still in its sheath. Naturally, she is creeped out and tells him to find someone else for weird stuff like that, but Arel insists only she can do it, saying he wants to use this chance to make their relationship stronger. Reiner's face turns red as she questions how hitting him could possibly make them closer, and she suggests they start with something less naughty. That makes Arel realize she completely took his words the wrong way. Later, in the training hall, he explains clearly that he wants her to hit him only when he does not have divine protection, so he can develop the gut skill. Reiner thinks he might have brain damage and argues that it is impossible to learn a skill since those are blessings from the heavens. However, Arel shoots back that she should not be so sure after seeing his twin blade and shadow clone abilities. After that, she gives him her heavy sword as requested, and then asks why he specifically wants it when it weighs 5 times more than his sword. She assumes he can barely lift it without brute strength like hers, but Arel pulls the heavy weapon right out of its sheath and shows that he has more than enough raw strength, earned through sheer training and hard effort. Seeing that, Reiner apologizes and agrees to help with his training, though she warns him she will not hold back, and he had better not complain when she really hits him. Arel accepts with a grin and makes her blush by saying he is lucky to share a hometown with such a fine girl. Just like he planned, that makes her furious, and the training begins with high intensity. When Lilia returns and rushes down the stairs, she brings terrible news that their opponents are from the number 1 guild in the city, a team that has 8 A ranks. Even worse, the team boss is a sly mastermind, but she still refuses to lose. Her determination vanishes, however, when she sees the two fighting, and she panics, thinking Reiner is beating him to death. Reiner calls it special training, but to Lilia, it just looks like she is venting her depression on Arel. On the weekend, the trio arrives at the Colosseum, where rumors are already spreading like wildfire about the former number 1 guild, Dragon Fong, facing off against the new number 1. Lilia gets furious when she hears people saying it is a no-brainer to bet on Black Blade since Dragon Fong is trash, while Arel is more surprised that betting on the fights is actually legal. Lilia then grins and points out that the odds are 20 to 1, meaning literally no one believes they have a chance. She claims that if they bet on themselves, they could make a fortune, and since the guild is already in crippling debt, they have nothing to lose anyway. Then, the little demon proudly reveals she already took a loan and bet everything on their team using their main base as collateral. Reiner tries to reason with her, but Lilia just gets more fired up, shouting that you either hit it big or go down in flames of glory. At that moment, a shady man from Black Blade walks up and commends her for trying to restore her father's legendary guild. Lilia narrows her eyes and asks George if he came to mock her for recruiting a classless nobody, but the man calmly replies that he actually came to cheer her on, saying he hates seeing his former rival guild fall so low. When Arel asks Reiner if that is the guy Lilia mentioned, she confirms that George is the mastermind behind their enemy team. To everyone's surprise, George claims he personally arranged for their guilds to face each other right from the start as a favor. Lilia immediately gets angry at his manipulation, but he tells her to relax. He jokes that she could make a fortune off her own bet if she could somehow manage to defeat his A-rank elites. His smug laugh makes her blood boil, and she vows that Dragon Fawn will crush them. George just smiles and wishes her good luck before walking away. When the day of the first match arrives, the crowd is excited to witness the clash between two legendary guilds. Arel notices the boss himself is missing from the roster and asks if George is trying to make things easy for them, but Lilia quickly points out that each member of the enemy team is A rank. Reiner adds that this lineup is even stronger than what they usually send, making Arel grin with anticipation to see all kinds of powerful skills in action. After that, the non-commentator steps up to announce the opening bout between Black Blade's Geo, but when she reveals Dragon Fawn's representative, the classless warrior Arel, the entire arena falls silent for a moment. Geo looks disgusted that he has to fight a classless weakling and mutters that he was hoping for one of the girls instead. Soon, the match begins, and Geo immediately tries to end it in a single second with his deadliest combo. But his confident grin vanishes when he realizes his attack only hit a shadow, and his victory smirk freezes completely when he feels his blade sink into another shadow right behind him. When he sees the three clones surrounding him, he does not care which one is real and thrusts into them one by one, but the third one also turns out to be fake, and he gets surprise attacked by the real one. Geo says 3 shadows should be impossible as he falls, but Arel thinks it is nothing compared to his mother's record of 5 at one time. Arel is declared the victor, and the girls are amazed, but he feels sad that he was not able to perfectly replicate Joe's critical thrust skill. Meanwhile, the crowd and George struggle to process how a talentless kid beat an A rank. In the next match, the enemy attacks Arel with dual-wielded swords, which he easily blocks, before using twin sword slash to one-shot him for an easy win. Then, His next opponent is a dexterous rogue who adds spin kicks to his slash attacks, but Arel fools him with a shadow and adds another win to his streak, giving Lilia hope that a miracle just might happen if he beats them all. Reiner asks Lilia if she is not even planning on fighting, and Lilia replies that it is pretty much impossible for her to beat the elites, so she puts every ounce of energy into cheering hard. Against the fourth opponent, Arel faces the big guy's heavy blows head-on before he ducks and chips away at his divine protection from the unguarded side. The tank curses at him for faking that he has no class and pushes him back with non-stop attacks. Arel tells him to believe what he wants and says he got this far with hard work and effort. His opponent believes class and skill trump any hard work and does a feint to fool him before using shield bash, but Arel already saw it coming because he has foresight, his mother's hardest skill to copy. After he spin kicks the annoying shield away, the tank says he has seen that move before. Arel shamelessly admits he copied it from his last opponent but thinks his angle was a little off. He gives it another shot and smashes his foot right into his opponent's side, which deals major damage. The guy angrily calls cap on his ability to learn someone else's skill, but Arel coldly replies that he already did it, saying it is one of the easier skills he can copy after seeing it once. Then, he casually picks up his shield and practices shield bash right there. The tank refuses to let someone else touch his shield and swings at him, but Arel parries the attack to move behind him before giving the guy a taste of his own signature shield bash comboed with blink dash. Seeing that, the crowd goes into an uproar and accuses Arel of lying about his status, so the commentator calms them down, saying she has an order from management for all participants to show their class ID. Arel agrees to go along with it, so the lady takes his class card and places it against a crystal orb that lets everyone see it on the projector screens, officially confirming Arel's status as jobless. While the crowd celebrates his honest victory, Lilia is thrilled to see that he is really going to win it for them. She also gets annoyed at Reiner for not telling her he was this strong, wishing she could sell and bet with all her father's savings and weapon collection. 2. Reiner tells her to chill out on the gambling since the win is not guaranteed. But Lilia is already scheming to secure a marriage contract with Arel so she can get in on half of his future winnings. Drooling at the mouth, the little gold digger shamelessly swears she will do anything to revive the guild. After that, Black Blade sends its final fighter, titled Swordmaster Massimian. Arel immediately recognizes his sword is different and asks if it is a katana. Reiner is surprised because the samurai class is extremely rare, and Lilia realizes he was a hidden card since she has never heard about him before. As the match begins, when Massimian reaches for his sword, Arel instantly senses danger and thinks he should keep his distance. Massimian is impressed by his sharp instincts and reveals that he was planning to lure Arel in and end the match quickly with his final move. That piques Arel's interest, and he slowly steps toward the master swordsman, who cannot believe he is actually approaching him after he revealed his plan. Arel says he cannot crush him without coming closer, and besides, he wants to see this ultimate skill of his. Massimian laughs at him, claiming he will be on the floor before he even sees the move, but Arel tells him to bring it on because he has full confidence in his speed. As he steps closer, he sees Massimian has not drawn his sword, and it is impossible to guess what he is thinking. He then stops right out of Massimian's range, and both swordsmen realize speed will be the deciding factor in their short battle. The moment Arel steps forward, Massimian aims his ultimate move right at his neck, but he is shocked when it misses, since he was sure it wasn't a shadow. Massimian realizes too late that Arel is faster when he appears behind him, and he tells the samurai that he's the fastest warrior he has seen in the city, but he has trained against someone who is simply way faster. With his mother's ultimate skill, Piercing Tempest, he wrecks Massimian from behind and shocks the entire crowd with another impossible win. The audience goes wild over their losses after Black Fawn's victory is announced, and as Arel walks down the stairs, he effortlessly dodges Lilia's hug. He apologizes for dodging her out of habit, and then turns to Reiner, who is ready to bear hug him. She also says sorry for doing it out of habit, but Arel tells her it is fine and to take off her armor next time. Watching the classless fool goof around from above, George curses him for getting in his way. Later that night, they celebrate with a fancy dinner where Lilia indulges in some expensive wine, and Arel is shocked when he realizes she is a grown adult. Reiner pours him some juice while Lilia keeps begging him to marry her and stop being shy. He gently insists he is not shy at all and crushes her pride by saying he would rather marry a proper lady like Reiner. That makes Reiner turn red, and she tells him to stop lying because everyone calls her a sword-swinging tomboy. Aurel admits that he used to think the same way, but things are clearly not the same anymore. Then, Lilia slyly rubs his leg and acts all innocent, saying she is just massaging his quads, but Aurel shuts her down again by saying he will ask Reiner to do it too in that case. The next morning, during training, Reiner throws Aurel straight into a wall and warns that he will destroy his body at this rate, but he insists he needs to take enough damage to nearly die if he wants to learn the guts skill. He adds that she is the only one he can trust with something like this, making her blush slightly. At that moment, Lilia's father walks in with a pounding hangover, complaining that they are making way too much noise. He asks the kids if they are training properly after getting destroyed in the tournament, but Lilia quickly corrects him that they actually beat Black Blade's strongest air anchors, when she proudly tells him Aurel defeated all of them alone and that she made a fortune betting on him. Her father says if that is true, either Aurel is not that strong, or she is too innocent to realize someone will definitely try to steal him away. Lilia shocks her father by confidently claiming that it will never happen because Aurel promised to marry her. Aurel instantly denies ever saying such a thing, and her father tells her their future is hopeless, so whatever she tries to do is pointless. Hearing that, Aurel fires back that Lilia may be a bit dumb, but at least she doesn't give up like a certain adult. When he adds that her father could still wield a sword with one arm, the man grabs him by the collar and yells in his face that he knows nothing, saying that over half of the dual sword king's techniques are useless without two blades. But Aurel calmly replies that he has a pretty decent idea as someone with no class or skills at all. That grinds the dual sword king's gears, but he eventually lets him go, and Aurel says it is such a waste for someone that's strong, even without skills, to sit around doing nothing. Lilia thanks him for motivating her father again, and Reiner says he will be back on his feet in no time if they can keep pushing him like this. When Aurel says he is glad to hear that, since he really wants to see the dual sword king's techniques in action, Lilia suggests he should go to the dungeon. He looks completely lost, so Reiner explains that there is a massive dungeon beneath the city filled with deadly monsters and traps waiting for the brave. That instantly gets him fired up, and Reiner decides to join too, since she wants to grow stronger before the Sword Master Cup, the ultimate tournament that determines the strongest swordsman in the world. Lilia hands Aurel what looks like an entry form, but he casually rips it in half like trash because it was actually a marriage form. Lilia pokes his nose and calls it a harmless joke, but Aurel pulls her into an arm lock and crushes her head like a watermelon. Watching everything through a magic orb, a shady woman spying on them reports to George that they plan to challenge the dungeon. He smirks at the chance, already planning to give them an accidental death as revenge. The next morning, Lilia fails to charm Aurel by waking him up with a morning kiss because he is already awake. On her second try, he gently places his hands around her and then squeezes hard till she starts crying. Seeing that, she starts questioning if he is even a boy after all the times he rejected her, which irritates him so much he ties her to the bed and walks off without a word. After that, he visits Reiner's room to ask her to get the noisy stray puppy out of his room, but he finds her still asleep, mumbling something about getting praise from Daddy. Smiling at how much she looks up to her father, Aurel gently pats her head. The next day, they head to the dungeon entrance, where a huge crowd of adventurers waits in line for the magic circle that instantly takes you to the highest floor you've cleared. Lilia proudly says her best was the 12th floor, while Reiner adds that she reached the 14th. Aurel decides he will go straight to 14 with her. Lilia quickly warns him that the magic circle only works for people who have cleared a floor themselves, and then offers to personally guide him through the shortest route. She smugly tells Reiner to go back home since there is no need for two guides and locks arms with Aurel to drag him away. Still, Aurel refuses to go without Reiner, so the three head to the first floor together, where they come face to face with a group of living armors. Aurel locks swords with the first one, but it suddenly dashes behind him for a backstab. He notes how fast they are for their size before slicing its head clean off. However, the living armor stands back up again, and Reiner explains they are magic beings that don't feel pain or die normally. Aurel aims for its legs next, but the creepy thing keeps moving. Seeing that, he grins and says they make perfect training dummies since they keep getting back up after being defeated. Meanwhile, Lilia stumbles and pretending to be exhausted after the tough battle. When Aurel bluntly points out that she did nothing, she claims they were too fast for her. When Aurel curiously asks about her class, Lilia proudly reveals she is a fencer and offers to teach him her unique skills. But Aurel isn't impressed since he already knows them, as that was his mother's class too. Shocked and embarrassed, Lilia quietly walks away as he repeats that she really is useless. Just then, they hear a scream for help, and a heavily injured guy staggers out of the shadows. He weakly explains that there is an insanely dangerous trap room ahead and begs them to rescue his friends, who are still trapped inside. Reiner immediately gets ready to rush in, but Lilia stops her, saying she should not act so hastily without first making a deal. She shamelessly tells the guy he has to cough up some cash if he wants his comrades saved. Hearing that, the guy quickly changes his tone and says he recognizes her as the famous Lilia featured in magazines, but when he accidentally blurts out the headline and calls her the flawed beauty from a fallen guild, she instantly ends negotiations. In the end, he offers his winnings from last week's tournament bet, and she happily agrees to help. However, Aurel frowns and says it seems too suspicious for someone to bleed that much, but Lilia confidently explains that, unlike him, normal people actually bleed like that when their divine protection wears off. With that decided, the man leads them deeper into the dungeon, and Aurel thinks even he wasn't able to walk without drinking holy water after losing that much blood. Still, he stays curious to see how things unfold. A few minutes later, the guy opens the door to the supposed trap room, but it is completely empty. Aurel looks around and says there are no monsters, while Reiner worries they may be too late. Then, Lilia's eyes sparkle when she spots a single gold coin glimmering along the blood trail. The moment she grabs it, a massive magic circle appears beneath them, and the guy bursts out laughing, saying Lilia really is as greedy as the rumors claim. He says it is nothing personal and he only did it for the money, but before he can escape, the magic circle expands and drags him in as well. When the light fades, Aurel does not sense any monsters nearby, but Reiner nervously notes she does not recognize the area and suspects they are much deeper than floor 14. Seeing the guy having a mental breakdown, Lilia tries to interrogate him, but she accidentally kicks her precious gold coin into the darkness. A second later, a massive beam of light crashes down, summoning a rainbow-armed monster right before them. As the boss-like monster readies its blade, the guy says that he heard rumors of a trap that teleports anyone to a place where the sword god himself resides. Right then, the boss swings its weapon, sending a divine air slash that cleanly splits the wall behind them. Before they can react, the monster vanishes and reappears in front of Aurel, slamming him into the wall with overwhelming force. All of them panic, but Aurel grins, thrilled that his divine protection held up against the blow, meaning his method to learn the guts skill was right. When he confirms that the boss truly is an ultimate class sword god, he gets excited because he has finally found a worthy opponent to test his strength on. The girls watch in disbelief as Aurel's divine steps forward, clashing blades with the boss non-stop. Then, the boss glows with divine power, and the others drop to their knees under the crushing pressure. Aurel recalls his mother teaching him about a similar technique called divine presence to overwhelm foes, followed by infinite break to destroy them. He remembers her smile as she promised to go easy on him before giving him a taste of that combo firsthand. Aurel thanks her for that lesson, and then tosses the gold coin at the boss as a distraction before he leaps high above and uses the same combo against it. The impact shakes the entire chamber, leaving the others speechless at his unbelievable power. When Reiner finally asks how he already knows such high-level skills, Aurel casually reveals that his mother is a sword god, too. Hearing that, Reiner stares in disbelief and asks why he lied earlier, to which Aurel simply replies that his mom does not like drawing too much attention. A few seconds later, another beam of light appears before them, and Aurel wonders if it signals another enemy, but Reiner says it is their return portal. Lilia tells the guy with the fresh haircut that he can come too, since she is feeling merciful after watching her hubby enjoy such a satisfying fight. Back at the bar, Lilia's father sits alone, thinking about Arel's words. His thoughts are interrupted when a gang of loud youngsters start laughing, bragging about how easy it was to make money by luring adventurers into traps. One of them jokes about their buddy Deal getting caught, admitting he did not mention the trap's full range just to get a bigger share of the reward. Hearing them mockingly call the Dragon Fawn Guild pathetic, Lilia's father suddenly stands up and slams their table, threatening them to explain what they did to his little girl. Before he can start a fight, George appears and tells him to calm down. George pities the old man and shares that one of his guild members saw Lilia enter a super dangerous, hidden room. Hearing this, Rod gets furious, and he can't believe George is ruining his life again, first taking his arm, and now his daughter. He lunges forward to grab him, but ends up falling to the floor and mourns the loss of his only daughter. Then, Lilia and the gang suddenly walk in perfectly fine, and he instantly pulls her into a bear hug. Moments later, she smugly turns to George and brags that they defeated the sword god. George refuses to believe she is strong enough to beat the boss, but Arel smugly agrees that the one who beat it was pretty strong. Lilia says his hired man already confessed everything, but George isn't concerned because what happened to them was just an unfortunate dungeon accident. Later, alone in his room, George loses his mind because he was finally going to claim the title of the strongest after the Dual Swords King and Sword Princess retired. But now there is a new threat that will always overshadow him. Just then, the cursed sword chained to his wall begins to glow and offers to grant his wish. After the preliminary matchups are revealed, Lilia panics because she is in the same bracket as Arel, which makes it impossible for her to reach the finals. When Arel asks why that is, Reiner explains that the tournament only allows the winner from each group to advance since there are simply too many fighters. Hearing that, Arel assures Lilia she can relax because she could never get that far with her mid-level skill anyway. Meanwhile, Reiner notices she is in a different group and quietly prays she can beat her opponents. Arel teases her, asking if she will report to Daddy afterward, and she cheerfully agrees before she realizes what he said and insists she never called her father Daddy in her life. Lilia gets fired up and tells the two they need to grind in the dungeon to get stronger, though she is taking Arel along to carry her if things get too tough. When Rod hears that, he sternly scolds her to stop being so carefree about entering the dungeon because there is no telling when George will try to get revenge, and he warns her to get out immediately if she senses anything suspicious. After she leaves, Rod feels Arel's judgmental stare, so he explains that he's stopped drinking, and now he will act like a responsible father from now on, which puts a faint smile on Arel's face. On the first day of the tournament preliminaries, Lilia gets knocked out in the early rounds. She feels quite upset about losing so quickly, and Arel ticks her off even more by repeating his earlier words. His horrible act, pretending he was actually excited to fight her, she bursts into tears. Putting that aside, she warns him that the next round is the final and he should not let his guard down because his opponent is very strong and uses special skills. He asks her what makes them special, thinking he has already seen most skills in the dungeon, but she explains that his opponent is a magic swordswoman who can enchant her blade with magic. He is surprised a mage can join a swordsmanship tournament, but Lilia tells him that anyone registered with the guild can join, which includes classless fighters like him. With that, Arel walks into the ring, and his opponent declares right away that magic swordsmanship is perfectly fair, so he better not cry about it being unfair after she destroys him. Arel simply replies that only the stronger one of them will win. The match begins with her firing 2 magic fireballs, which he dodges by slightly leaning to the side. He continues to evade her volley of fireballs with ease and closes the distance to land an overhead strike, but she shoots another fireball to force him to retreat. He admits it is impressive how she can use both sword and magic to dominate melee and ranged combat, and the girl proudly brags that a classless fool like him could never defeat her greatness. But Arel instantly humbles her, saying her skills are mediocre at best and both her swordsmanship and her magic is nowhere near advanced level. The girl scoffs at him, ignites her blade with flames, and proudly shows him the strongest technique a magic swordsman can use. Right after that, her fiery sword grows into a blazing whip that lashes at Arel from every direction. Arel admits the random attacks are tricky to deal with and says it would no doubt be an ultimate skill if she had mastered it. But he calls her current version pathetic as he swats the flames aside with ease. He says she might have a chance if she were at least on Lilia's level with a sword. Hearing that insult, she flares up her magic even more, but Arel uses a twin blade slice to extinguish it instantly. Then, he blinks behind her in a flash and knocks her out cold with a single hit. He thanks her for showing him such a cool skill and quietly wonders if he can somehow learn magic techniques too. Back at the guild HQ, Lilia tries to convince her father to come with her and cheer Arel on, but he refuses to move, no matter what she says. When she teasingly asks if George scares him, he snaps back and admits he felt embarrassed after realizing how rusty his skills have become, and now he doubts he could ever win the tournament. Lilia shoots back that he has no idea how it feels to lose before even getting to the finals, and manages to drag him out by force. On their way, she points out that he would have sneaked in to watch anyway because she still remembers how much he enjoyed seeing Reiner grow, so she is sure he wants to see how much she has improved. Hearing that, he pats her head and tells her she is starting to become like her mother. Right before Reiner's first round, she is visibly tense, and Arel's sudden question catches her off guard. When he asks why she looks so nervous, she replies that it is the biggest tournament of her life and that she cannot form a strategy since the opponent for the finals is revealed only at the last moment. Just then, the announcer declares that the first match will be between the reigning champion, George, and the classless swordsman Arel. As Arel turns to leave, Reiner reflexively grabs his hand and tells him to be careful. With that, he steps into the arena, but his face stiffens in shock the moment he sees George's creepy face. Lilia immediately wonders what happened to him, but when Rod notices the demonic sword in George's hand, he shouts for Arel to keep his distance because that blade is possessed by demons. The entity controlling George looks amused that Rod knows its secret and wonders if he is someone from the royal palace. Rod is confused as he recalls that all the demons slain by the royal sword master possessed that blade, and that sword was supposed to be locked deep inside the royal treasury. The demon declares that he has been waiting for thousands of years for the seal to weaken, for his name to fade from everyone's memory, and for some desperate fool to finally break the seal for him. He introduces himself as Dear Gelda, a name that shocks Reiner. She instantly recognizes it from every history book as the legendary demon once summoned by the evil deities. The crowd breaks into chaos upon hearing the name, and terrified spectators rush toward the exits. But Dear Gelda laughs at their panic, saying their screams are too dull to satisfy his 1,000 years of boredom. He plunges his sword into the ground, and a massive wave of dark magic erupts to create a barrier that traps everyone inside the arena. As the terrified cries echo through the sealed dome, the demon grins and calls Arel a fool for daring to raise his sword after witnessing his magic. With zero hesitation, Arel replies that he only raises his sword because he knows he can win. He reminds the demon that he is not invincible since he got wrecked by the sword master once already. The demon bursts into laughter and states his vessel's memories confirm there has not been anyone near sword master level for decades. But Arel lets Dear Gelda know he has two things wrong. First, the sword master is alive and well, and second, he does not need to be one to defeat him. Before Dear Gelda can even respond, Arel vanishes from sight and reappears right in front of him, easily dodging a slash from the demon's cursed blade. Dear Gelda stares in disbelief as he realizes Arel just used Divine Step, a technique only sword masters can perform. Still, he dismisses it as a cheap imitation and swings with overwhelming force, sending Arel crashing into the ground. However, when the dust clears, Arel stands completely unscathed thanks to his guts training with Reiner. As Dear Gelda moves in to finish him off, Arel blocks his blade and counters with infinite break, striking from so many angles that the demon fails to block them all. Seeing that overwhelming display, Dear Gelda calls him a sword master, but Arel corrects him that he has no class at all, and with that, he delivers one final strike that sends the demon crashing into the arena. The whole crowd is unsure if the fight is truly over, but once Arel confirms the demon can no longer fight, The spectators cheer him on for bravely defeating the legendary demon. However, Dear Zelda refuses to be sealed again. He desperately begins searching for another vessel he can use to escape from Aurel, and his eyes eventually lock onto Rod. Meanwhile, Lilia is glad to see that both Reiner and Aurel are fine, and Reiner wonders if the tournament will get cancelled. Just then, Aurel senses the demon sword's killing intent and pushes Reiner aside as the demon sword shoots toward them, while Lilia's father throws himself forward to shield her with his body. As the dust settles, Lilia says she is fine because her father protected her, but her relief fades when she suddenly sees him point the sword at her. As Dear Zelda uses her as a hostage, Aurel is shocked that the sword is the demon's real body and wishes he had destroyed it when he had the chance. He gets ready to beat Dear Zelda a second time, but the demon warns that his fiancée is dead if he does not let him escape. Aurel feels sick on hearing that and says he does not remember ever agreeing to marry her. But Dear Zelda insists Rod's body clearly remembers that she said he would marry her. When Lilia tries to play dumb, Aurel prepares to beat both of them up together and nearly unleashes Infinite Break before Reiner stops him. The demon starts sweating, wondering if Aurel really does not care about the girl, but Aurel says her value as a hostage is completely worthless. Hearing that, Lilia bursts into tears, pleading guilty that everything she said was a lie, and begs him not to kill her. When Reiner quietly says she is starting to feel bad for Lilia, Aurel tells her not to worry because he cannot hurt Lilia anyway. Dear Zelda laughs and asks if Aurel really thinks he would hesitate, then threatens to slit her open on the spot. Just then, the sword starts shaking, and Rod manages to take control of his body again. Reiner is shocked by that, but Aurel points out Rod's body never fully transformed like George's, which means he was fighting back from the inside. Dear Zelda demands to know why Rod refuses to let him take over, even though he clearly desires power to regain his old strength. Rod shouts that maybe the old him would have given in, but not anymore. He says Aurel taught him that he can reach his peak form again if he puts in the hard work. With that, Rod uses all his strength to throw the demon's sword like a baseball, and Aurel slices the big black blade in half. He chops it into 100 pieces to be extra safe, and hopes the annoying demon is finally gone for good. A few days later, Rod yells at a group of kids and completely destroys them during training because they lack skill in swordsmanship and depend only on their abilities to fight. When he tells them to come at him again, all of them run away, and Lilia scolds Deal for chickening out on his promise to join her guild and work hard to get stronger. The boy argues that her dad's training is way too brutal, and Lilia agrees that her dad got back in shape thanks to Aurel. When Deal asks where Aurel is, she laughs awkwardly and admits that Aurel sorta left the guild out of nowhere. She suddenly starts crying, wondering why he would quit and leave her all alone, and the guild is now in a tough spot since Reiner also quit right after him. On his way home, the driver asks Aurel if he is really fine with leaving the city right after winning the title of champion swordsman, but Aurel replies that he already saw everything he needed to and now wants to test his skills back at home. Aurel explains he wants to see if he can actually win against his mom, which makes the driver burst out laughing, as even the champion swordsman is scared of his own mother. Back in his hometown, Farah instantly senses he is standing behind her even though he erased his presence. She compliments him since she only noticed him a few seconds later than usual, and she is delighted to hear that he won the tournament just like she once did. Suddenly, she closes the distance in an instant and brings the rose up to his face, asking if it smells nice. Aurel realizes the fight would have been over if that rose were a sword, and he admits his mom saw right through his plan. She tells him that the garden would be destroyed if they sparred there, so they move to the mountains where he used to train. Farah is excited to see how much he has improved, and he taunts her that she will not be smiling for long. With that, Farah uses Divine Step to close in, and he barely manages to block her attack with his sword because he saw that move earlier in the garden. He jumps back and uses a new skill on her, which amazes her because he combined Divine Slash with Air Slice. When he asks what skill she used, though, Farah simply replies she was just swinging her sword like normal, and claims she learned how to fight without depending on skills from him. Hearing that, Aurel is amazed by her strength and goes all out, creating so much noise that all the townspeople get scared by the monstrous sounds coming from the mountains. The battle rages on as Arel uses air leap to reach Farah, and when she tries to blow him away with divine presence, he uses the same skill to counter her force. After they both land, she warns him that she will not hold back on her next attack, and the two finally cross swords using the Swordmaster's ultimate skill. Meanwhile, at Arel's house, Reiner hopes Arel is home and knocks on the door. When his sister Mira opens it and asks who she is, Reiner politely explains that she came to meet her brother. The cheeky little girl calls Reiner a cow and says her brother has no interest in talking to cowgirls. Just as Arel's sister shouts insults and tries to shut the door on her, Farah suddenly appears and tells her not to be rude to their guest. Mira jumps excitedly into her brother's arms and asks why the two look like a total mess, and their mom proudly reveals they sparred against each other, with Arel actually managing to beat her this time. Still, Arel admits he only won because his stamina lasted a little longer than his mom's. Reiner is amazed because he beat the Sword Princess, but Arel admits he is not that proud since his mom is not as strong as she was at her peak anymore. Hearing that, Farah gets annoyed because she insists she is still a young lady, and then asks her son to introduce the beautiful girl who came to see him. They head inside, where Farah says she is more curious about Arel's romance with the cute girl than his little tournament win, which really gets his sister angry. Arel introduces her as Reiner and explains they live together in the city, instantly making his mom's face light up with wrong ideas. After Reiner panics and quickly explains that they were only guildmates and nothing else, he asks her why she came, and she scolds him for rudely quitting the guild out of nowhere without even a word. Arel bluntly says he filled the withdrawal form properly, but she gets angry because he should have at least said goodbye in person. When he says there was no point since he already learned all the skills he needed, Reiner sighs deeply and gives up hope. Hearing that, Farah warmly invites Reiner to rest in their peaceful village since she came such a long way to see her hopeless son, but Reiner explains this is her hometown too, and her real reason for coming was not to meet Arel, but to become Farah's apprentice. Just then, Reiner's father, Evan, urgently knocks on the door to report a strange disturbance in the nearby mountains. He requests the Sword Princess to protect the village security team, who are going to investigate what kind of monster cut down all the trees in the area. Hearing that, she assures him she already handled the monster, which puts him completely at ease. Then, Evan notices his daughter there, and Arel's mom is delighted to learn she is his child, saying she looks exactly like her late mother. When her father asks why Reiner is at Farah's house, she blurts out that she came for training to be the perfect wife, which instantly brings her father to tears. Reiner blushes hard and swears she came to train in swordsmanship, so Arel's mom happily suggests she can do both bridal and sword training together, which makes Evan truly happy because he promised his wife he would take care of Reiner until she becomes a fully grown adult. Farah swears she will raise Reiner to be the perfect wife, and while Reiner desperately asks if anyone is even listening to what she wants, her father completely ignores her and wishes her good luck instead. After that, Arel goes into his father's room, where he is studying magic again. His dad warmly welcomes him home and shares that he has nearly finished working on a spell similar to his killing strike. Putting that aside, his dad asks if Mira was throwing a tantrum because he brought a cute girl home, but Arel says she is more hot than cute. That gets his dad even more excited because he never thought Arel could actually bring a girl home. However, Arel suddenly tells him with a serious face that he finally beat his mother in a match, and now he wants to learn magic, but his father instantly tells him to forget about it because it is impossible for him. Meanwhile, downstairs, Reiner tries to cut a vegetable for the first time in her life and ends up smashing the entire table, even slicing Myra's favorite mug clean in half. Seeing that, Farah realizes Reiner never really cooked back at her guild, and when Reiner insists she is fine with only learning swordsmanship, Farah sternly teaches her that a master swordsman must first master things in daily life. When Arel's mother says she is glad to have another daughter in the house, Reiner curiously asks about his older sister. Mira explains that their sister was always worried about Aurel and left on a journey to create a world where classless bums could live freely, but Reiner laughs and says the mad lad probably will not be needing that anymore. In the kitchen, while Aurel and his dad get ready to fix the damaged table, his dad suddenly remembers that Aurel wanted to see magic, so he shows it in action on Myra's broken mug. Later, his dad repeats that Aurel should forget about learning magic because it requires a special aptitude only some people have, and he has never seen anyone without magic energy or skills use it successfully before. Aurel notices his dad did not actually say it was impossible, and his dad admits that Aurel did win the Sword Master tournament with no class and got strong at an insane rate thanks to sheer hard work, but sometimes, effort alone just is not enough. With that said, his dad picks up one of Aurel's broken training swords and explains that using magic without mana is like trying to use a sword without hands. Hearing that, Aurel asks how his dad can be so sure he has no aptitude. So his old man explains that the blessing grants anyone with mana the sorcerer class. Even then, Aurel insists he has felt traces of magic before, especially during the times when Reiner used to beat him daily at the guild, which makes his father slightly worry about what kind of relationship they really had. Aurel recalls how he used to drink a ridiculous amount of holy water to restore his divine protection, but Lilia got angry at the costs and told him to finish the old potions from their warehouse first. Even though Reiner was seriously concerned about what those mysterious bottles were filled with, he chugged them down anyway, and instead of restoring his divine protection, he felt something else inside his body. Hearing that, his dad is thrilled that he might finally have some magical ability, and admits he was always jealous that he could not teach Aurel the same way his wife could. After that, his dad asks him to imagine the power moving through his body and try to make it flow into his hand. Aurel focuses as hard as he can and manifests a small orb of magical energy, which becomes undeniable proof that he has magic. However, he nearly faints right after, since that tiny amount alone drains all of his mana. Seeing that, his dad explains that his mana is even less than a little kid. When Aurel asks how he can possibly increase his capacity, his dad tells him the only way is to cast magic hundreds of times, just like training his muscles. Aurel is glad to hear that, since training endlessly happens to be his specialty, and he collapses from exhaustion. Seeing his never-give-up attitude, Aurel's dad cries tears of joy because he has never been prouder of his son in his entire life. The next morning, Aurel heads to the nearest store and spends all his tournament winnings to buy as many mana potions as he can carry. After that, he grinds his magic skills non-stop for the next 6 months, until he can finally maintain a fireball without fainting. His dad congratulates him for reaching the level of a beginner sorcerer, so Aurel eagerly asks if that means he can start casting real spells now. Instead, his dad takes out a page filled with magical language and explains that he must learn the entire magical script to cast a spell. Normally, a sorcerer's skill automatically brings the spell structure into their mind, but since Aurel has no class, he has to imagine the spell from scratch every single time. With that said, his dad suggests he should study at the Magic City Institute. But first, Aurel will need to raise his level enough to even qualify for admission. At dinner, Mira says her mom's cooking tastes amazing as always, but she immediately starts complaining when she realizes Reiner actually made it. Aurel loves the food too, and Farah proudly compliments Reiner's huge improvement in both cooking and swordsmanship. Aurel's dad chimes in that he likes Reiner too because she is pretty and hard-working, but not more than his beloved wife, of course. Seeing their warm family banter, Reiner quietly wonders if her own family might have been like this if her mother were still alive. To lighten the mood, Aurel's dad casts a beautiful, glowing spell to express his love for his wife, and watching that heartfelt display lights a new fire in Aurel's heart to become a powerful sorcerer someday. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.